Welcome to another edition of Spark the Conversation. This is your host, Mark the Spark, bringing you today's news. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. I'm going to ring the bell here to remind you to subscribe. And I appreciate everybody who's listening. Like I've said before, this is a one-man operation. We're going through a few points, some important clips that have happened in the day or the last couple days to make sure you guys don't miss out on important things that have happened. So we've got to talk about one of the things that caused President Trump to win this election by a landslide, and it's overwhelmingly popular still within the United States. The fact that Americans do not want boys playing in girls' sports. They don't want it. It doesn't make sense. Women's sports were created for a reason, to have the ability for girls and women to compete at a high level against their fair and equal competitors. Okay? And if it wasn't necessary, girls would have just been playing in boys' sports and been competing at a high level forever. But clearly, it was a necessary thing to happen. And it was women, feminists in particular, who promoted women's sports so that girls could have a chance to, again, compete, receive scholarships, set records, win games, do things to benefit them both physically and mentally for their physical and mental health, allowing them to compete against other girls. Okay? And now somehow feminism has been twisted and warped to be allowing men who believe that they're women, which is a mental illness that needs to be addressed separately, but that's going to allow them to play in women's sports. Feminism has been twisted, warped, and was never intended to protect men. That's why it's called feminism. Again, these things just make sense. So today, Donald Trump called out Maine governor for still allowing women or men to play in women's sports. And he told them that it must stop. And he said this right to her face. The guy is an absolute boss when it comes to negotiation and being able to say the truth to somebody's face, regardless of how much he thinks it might hurt.
The NCAA has complied immediately, by the way. That's good. But I understand Maine. Is Maine here, the governor of Maine? Well, are you not going to comply with it?
I'm complying with the state and federal laws.
We are the federal law. Well, you better do it. You better do it because you're not going to get any federal funding at all if you don't. And by the way, your population, even though it's somewhat liberal, although I did very well there, your population doesn't want men playing in women's sports. So you better comply because otherwise you're not getting any federal funding.
See you in court.
Every state, good. I'll see you in court. I look forward to that. That should be a real easy one. And enjoy your life after governor because I don't think you'll be in elected politics.
So he lays it out just pretty straight and flat, right? You're not going to comply with federal law. You're not going to get federal funding. And this is how these sanctuary states and cities need to be handled. These LGBTQ sanctuary cities, per se, and states. If you're not going to follow federal law, we are going to use our funding, the ability to enforce the law to make sure that you comply. Okay? That's how it's got to be done. And make them take you to court. The Biden administration for the last 4 years has been arbitrarily using executive power for whatever reason they felt fit, whether it's giving people money for college, signing checks to people, closing down schools and businesses, whatever they wanted, they had it, carte blanche. And now that Donald Trump's in power, they're complaining that he's using powers, in extreme ways. Well, guess what? You guys created the power. You guys used these excessively, created the precedent that he is now using against you. And now you don't like it. Well, guess what? We warned you. You didn't listen to the warning. And now you're going to play these games. It's unacceptable. And now it's been found that there's been other parts of the government using servers, encrypted servers, to have conversations about different radical gender ideologies. Here's some of those images of the text. They're talking about some crazy sexual stuff. It's kind of creepy. You can read it yourself. I don't want to censor this whole thing, but they're talking about, their body parts and what they do when they go to the gym and they're harassed, talking about, their intimate partners and what they've done. Specifically, this is all stuff that was like classified. It was done on encrypted messaging, and it's completely inappropriate. And these people are going to get found out and going to get fired. So good for Doge finding this stuff, because this gender ideology and sexual revolution crap has really got to get out of our government. We should not be paying for people to do this on government time. So we got to talk about Doge again, because they're continuing to do good work. They're continuing to find the corruption. They're continuing to find the waste, fraud, and abuse. And most of us are here enjoying watching this because we've known, without having the data, that the federal government has been taking too much of our money, spending too much of our money on things we don't care about for years, decades, my whole lifetime. There's never been a true attempt to root out the waste that has been going on at the federal government level. I mean, it is just a huge endeavor. And the incentive structure was never there for an elected official to go after this kind of abuse, because if we don't see the direct effect of it, it's hard for a politician to capture that and use it in a campaign to try to get reelected. And that's where Elon Musk comes in and his team, where they don't really need the incentive structure. I mean, what does Elon Musk need? The left is trying to say, oh, he's doing it for power. He's doing it for his own gain. But does he really need any of this? No, he's the richest guy in the world. And like he said, when he was at CPAC, they were asking him about people who say that he's bought and paid for by Russia. He says, Russia can't afford me. And that's true. Neither can Trump. Trump can't afford Elon Musk either. Neither can the United States as a whole, because he's the richest man in the world. He really doesn't need it. What does he need? Nothing. He needs nothing. So he's doing this for the benefit of the country. He sees he probably sees the inefficiency of the government. It just hurts him to his core so much that he just needed to get involved. Here is Speaker Johnson talking about the effectiveness of Elon Musk and Doge.
Because even though we requested the data and requested the insight, it was hidden. How many of you know that bureaucracy was not forthcoming, right? They're not transparent. That's the whole point. That's the problem. That's the deep state we talk about. So they were hiding from Congress. We didn't know that USAID was funding drag shows in Peru or whatever, transgender operas in Colombia or whatever, And it's madness. But Elon has cracked the code. He is now inside the agencies. He's created these algorithms that are constantly crawling through the data, and as he told me in his office, the data doesn't lie. We're going to be able to get the information. We're going to be able to transform the way the federal government works at the end of this, and that is a very exciting prospect.
So he's just pointing out that they're getting the information that even Congress couldn't get because of the fighting from inside these agencies, the fighting from what he called and counted on as the deep state, which we have all referred to and understand is there, even though we can't prove it because it's been hidden for so long. And so Doge sends out this email to all federal employees, says, please reply to this email with approximately 5 bullets of what you accomplished last week and CC your manager. Please do not send any classified information, links, or attachments. Deadline is this Monday at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So this is an example of what the email looked like that the federal employees got just over the weekend. And the left, of course, is melting down because God forbid we actually try to make some efficiency in government, right? I mean, just unreal. And, this email wasn't really threatening. It just said, please respond. And they're going to take the information and use it to determine where they need to cut next. And it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't threatening anybody to say, you're going to get fired if you don't answer these. But, there is kind of like an illusion right now that might happen because it has been happening. Elon Musk has made it clear that they are going to go into departments and they're going to root out the waste, fraud, and abuse. And I don't really think that these 5 bullet points of what somebody did last week really makes any difference. I don't think that they're really going bullet point by bullet point and saying, oh, you did this, this is important. I think they're really looking for who's even replying, who read the email. Maybe they even have set, read receipts and they know who even read the email. And if you get a percentage of like 10, 20, 30% in a department of just even reading the email, that's probably where you're going to go next. And I think that might be like some of the mission behind this email was just to figure out what to target next. They've got such a long list of bureaucracies that are out of control at the federal government level that I think they're having trouble targeting like which one to go after in what order after they hit the big ones, of course. So they're just using this as a start. Now, some of the department heads have told people not to reply to this. Like Tulsi Gabbard has even told her people because they do have a lot of sensitive material. And I think that they do also want to have some kind of handle on their own departments doing the rooting out of this waste, fraud, and abuse. And I don't really care if it's Doge doing the rooting out of the waste. I don't care if it's Tulsi Gabbard. I don't care if it's Pete Hegseth. I don't care who is doing it, but it does need to be done in every department because we need to cut $2 trillion off of this budget to even break even, which is significant. Here's an example of some of the people on the left, some of these employees melting down. And of course, the media helping push their sad message.
First, just tell us about this email and what it was like receiving it and what you all have talked about after getting it.
Sure. I got this email Saturday afternoon, about 3 p.m., and I felt absolutely infuriated getting this email with a demand within 48 hours to provide a response on what I did within the last week or face termination. This is clearly an attempt from Elon Musk to harass and bully and intimidate the federal workforce, which is part of his broader plan to gut the federal workforce and privatize public sector services to ensure that corporations like his own can get more profit. And that makes me really angry, and my coworkers as well.
Oh, boo-hoo. I don't know about you, but I really don't feel sympathy. I mean, especially these people who are going whining to the media first. Guess what? They are the first ones that are probably going to be guilty of wasting government taxpayer dollars. Okay? Which is really what it is. It's no government money. It is taxpayer dollars. So look at these people who are showing themselves on camera. They are probably the most guilty. And you know what, to be honest, they should know better. And especially in times like this. Why would you put yourself out there? Why would you get the attention of people like Elon Musk and the federal government? Because you know that's going to be the mission. When you put your face and name on a TV screen, especially the left lamestream media, you're going to get the attention first. So good for Doge. Keep it up. And so now we've got to talk about the shakeup at MSNBC. One of the leaders of the lamestream media, as I like to call it, Joy Reid, gone. Not going to miss her. Amen. I don't even know who these people are. I really don't watch MSNBC, to be honest, but I do see clips a lot. These people are crazy, so I don't know how to pronounce their name. But Katie and Jonathan Capehart, given their walking papers, the legacy media is falling apart. There is nobody watching these shows. These companies have finally accepted their fate as failing, but they still refuse to change. They have moved Peppermint Patty, Jen Psaki, into one of the main high, well, let's put it in quotes, right? High volume slots. And it's going to do the same thing. They keep shuffling the same people, or at least the same types of people around through these time slots, expecting like it's going to be like a big success all of a sudden. They're like the kid on TikTok who keeps playing, doing the same dances, expecting to go viral, right? That's not happening. And so they still haven't accepted like the why. They understand the numbers, they're seeing the numbers, they're seeing the failure, but they haven't accepted the why yet, which is kind of the critical piece, right? Which is, so they'll continue to fail. And I'm here for it. I mean, these companies have just lied to our face over and over and over again. And here's Joe Rogan talking about the fact that they've been lying to us all this time.
MSNBC is a ghost town. No one's watching these shows because they're all just lying. They're lying. They're still lying. They're lying constantly. And now, now they're lying about the Department of Government Efficiency, when before they were lying about pandemics and vaccines. It's not really the news. If it was the news, they wouldn't be paid for by the pharmaceutical drug companies. You can't have news sponsored by the people that you're supposed to be reporting on, and then you never report on them. That's just crazy.
And here's a person on the Tucker Carlson show doing an interview talking about the lamestream media and how big pharma has manipulated the mainstream news to basically repeat its messaging.
But you're saying that pharma buys TV spots not to convince people to ask for specific drugs from their physicians, but to subvert the news business?
This is an open secret working for pharma.
I never even thought of that.
This is an open secret. The kind of silly ads you see between the news breaks, the points of that it's marginally to impact the customer, but the pharma's already got that. They've already bought off the doctors. They're good on that. No, this is an open secret.
And so these are just a repeat of things that we've already know. Anybody who doesn't watch these shows because they're not hypnotized into believing the indoctrination that they're spewing, we already know that these lamestream media companies are lying to us, and they're bought and paid for by either big pharma, big tech, big ag, all these big companies, big corps that are looking to sell their product. And I'm not hating on those companies. They are just doing what any company would do. Try to get their product sold the best they can. But the media is lying to you, okay? The big ag, big tech, big pharma, they're not really lying to you in the respect that they're telling you I'm trying to sell my product. I don't think any one of them, if asked, wasn't going to tell you that they were trying to sell their product. That's their mission. But the mainstream media, the lamestream media as I call it, is telling you that they're selling you truth. They're selling you honesty, that they've investigated what they're telling you and that it is true. But you know what? They're lying because they haven't done the investigation. They've taken the money in their left hand and they're showing you what they've been paid to show you in their right hand. They are the current magician. So they're just lying. That's what makes it the lie, is that they're not telling you what they say they're telling you. I say this about conservative media because when they could say the same thing about conservative media, but the difference is conservative media doesn't tell you that they're unbiased. They tell you, we are conservative media. We do have a conservative slant. If you like to listen to us, listen to us. But they also encourage you to listen to the other side. That's the difference. Okay? That's the main difference. Here's Joy Reid crying and telling you that she's not sorry that she did what she did and she played her cards the way she played them.
But also that my show had value and that, I'm sorry, that what I was doing had value. And in the end, I'm sorry, I try not to cry on TV.
Again, what is it about these people on the left that they cannot contain their emotion when they're talking to a camera? It's the same women who say, oh, I'm such an ugly crier. I'm ugly when I cry. Don't look. And then they take out their phone and they have to take a picture, a video of themselves crying, spewing their emotions for the world to see, not realizing that thousands, millions of people are going to be viewing this stuff, especially somebody like Joy Reid. It's just sad, really. But what was the value in her show? I think the value, of course, shows up in her bank account. Ultimately, that was her value, because the lies that she told, the baloney that she spewed did not have any impact positively on the world. And here's a great example for talking about how terrible conservatives are for not wanting to wear masks during Thanksgiving.
These are the people who say the undocumented, who they get to call illegal immigrants, like the Pilgrims had permission to come here, have to suffer the consequences of their actions, right? They made the choice to overstay their visas or come into our country illegally. So if they get deported, consequences. But you right-wingers shouldn't have to suffer the consequences of your votes. You don't want to be around me because I voted for fascism. No fair. I'm coughing on you with COVID, but you want me to wear a mask for your safety? No fair. My body, my choice. Well, here's an alternative thought. Make your own dinner, MAGA. Make your own sandwiches. Wipe your own tears. Troll amongst yourselves with Elon and leave us alone. You got your heart's desire, the president you dreamed of, and worship instead of Jesus. And this time, you didn't even have to storm the Capitol, smash the windows, or try to kill police officers or issue death threats to poll workers. See? You did it just by voting this time. Congrats. You got your way. And he even got away with breaking the law. Yay. But if you expect the 73 million who voted for the prosecutor, not the felon, and particularly the 92% of black women who voted for Kamala to give you a cookie for your vote, a trophy, a hug, a high five, you might be asking too much. If we want to eat with you, we will. But if we just want some peace over the holidays and we don't want to put up with your trolling while we eat our tofurkey, get over it. Stop acting like we owe you. And for God's sakes, stop whining. It's embarrassing. Our Thanksgiving. Our choice.
Speaking of embarrassing, that was embarrassing. I'm embarrassed. You ever feel that feeling when you're watching somebody and they're doing something so cringe that you're embarrassed for them? Well, that's what I felt watching that clip. I don't know if you felt it, but I felt it. But still, you know, there's no wonder that her show was canceled and she's out of job, because who wants to watch that crap? She's talking about whining. What the heck was that? It sounded like a whole pack of hyenas whining. But whatever. I think Donald Trump laid it out best on Truth Social. Let's put up his little post and I'll read it out. Lowlife chairman Comcast Brian Roberts, the owner of ratings challenged NBC and MSDNC, has finally got the nerve to up to fire one of the least talented people on television, the mentally obnoxious, racist Joy Reid. Based on her ratings, which were virtually non-existent, she should have been canned long ago, along with everyone else who works there. Also thrown out was Alex Wagner, sub on the seriously failing Rachel Maddow show. Rachel rarely shows up because she knows there's nobody watching, and she also knows that she's got less television persona than virtually anyone on television, except perhaps Joy Reid. Then there's, of course, the low IQ con man Al Sharpton, who has perhaps the lowest TV ratings in the history of television. But what is he doing to Brian Roberts to stay on the air? This whole corrupt operation is nothing more than an illegal arm of the Democratic Party. They should be forced to pay vast sums of money for the damage they've done to our country. Fake news is an unpardonable sin! ! Another great post on Truth Social by Donald Trump, basically calling out what we've all seen. Of course, he's doing a little bit of trolling, a lot of jabbing, throwing some left hooks and some right uppercuts. Of course, but he is calling out what we've been seeing for a long time, that the mainstream media is a fraud. Now here's Carrie Lake, who's talking about the same issues.
I really came down on my speech on the media. Just when you think the media can't get worse, we call it the fake news, I'm calling it fake journalists out there. We are uncovering, Doge has uncovered so much fraud, waste, abuse in this government. And the media, many members of the media are trying to avoid talking about the corruption that's being uncovered and instead go after the messenger, Elon Musk. It's outrageous. Right now what is happening, we have the biggest story. It's bigger than Watergate and every other scandal combined and rolled into one. Any decent journalist would be salivating to cover this moment in history and to see what's happening with groups like AP, where they're wanting to boycott the White House now because they're hurt that they're losing some of their privileges because they refuse to call the Gulf of America the Gulf of America. This is the hill they want to die on. It is the Gulf of America, and now we're seeing other outlets saying they want to join with AP and boycott The press pool, the thing that I'm really disturbed about what I'm seeing in the press pool is we get the same mainstream media asking the same type of questions rather than saying, hey, tell us more about what you found when you dug into USAID or the Department of Education or whatever department they're in, the Department of Defense. They're going to be looking at that and taking a look and auditing that. Instead of asking pointed questions, they're, like I said, pushing the narrative through their line of questioning, which is attacking the messenger, Doge, attacking Elon. And we need to move into questions that the American people want asked. And so I'm hoping we'll see more of that.
And of course, you always have to question when the media is telling you what to think instead of asking the appropriate questions to the experts or the politicians. And they're not asking the questions that we want them to ask. Like Carrie Lake points out, they're asking the questions that lead you to what you should believe according to them. And that's where you should be questioning their efficacy, their honesty, and the fact that they should even be around anymore, which clearly is, I think it's clear, right? They should not. They can't be honest. They can't be truthful. Then they can't be trusted. All right, I'm trying to make adjustments to this microphone so it doesn't pop in your guys' ears. Sorry about that. If it has been, we're continuously making changes here, so we're going to just keep trying different things. Anyways, so we've got to talk about Israel. Once again, the hostage handover by the Hamas has been quite atrocious, as we have seen, and just despicable, barbaric actions from these terrorists. And what would you expect out of these people who have literally lived in tunnels under the ground, have stolen every dollar of aid that has come into their country that was supposed to be for the Palestinian people, and use it towards tunnels and making bombs and missiles? That is why their people are poor and starving. And yet the people still support them because they have Stockholm Syndrome. They still trust that the Hamas are looking out for them. They have been indoctrinated since they were babies. And this is why it takes like 2 whole generations to get this indoctrination out of these people. I mean, it's just utterly insane. This is the kind of treatment that they were giving the hostages before they were handing them over to Israel, as if they hadn't terrorized them enough. Absolutely disgusting. And like I said, barbaric. But Israel is not standing by. They still have their tricks up their sleeve. And as they're having some kind of celebration in the Gaza Strip, some kind of parade that they have going on, probably celebrating the torture and murder of so many Israelis for no reason. And in return for giving some of these hostages up, they're getting guilty prisoners that Israel has had for dangerous crimes that they've actually committed. They, and hundreds to the singles of Israel's been giving up hundreds of Palestinians to the 1s and 2s and 3s of Israel hostages that they've been getting back. But while they're having this parade, Israel sends some of their fighter jets over them, and it creates an instant panic in these Palestinians because typically when jets fly overhead like that, it's soon followed by darkness and nothingness because they are not going to get the 72 or 42 or however many versions they're supposed to get. They just get nothing, maybe the eternal burning of hell. And so we have to talk about President Trump met with the president of France, Emmanuel Macron, and the greeting is just typical of Donald Trump. In fact, Joe Rogan has talked about this, the strength of Donald Trump's handshake and how he just pulls you in, even in, whether you're expecting it or not. Typically, you're not expecting somebody to pull you in, and it's such a move of strength. And Joe Rogan said he's, planned for it and has prepared himself for it. But one time, there's a funny story about one time he got him over like a chair or a table, Joe Rogan had to reach and was like on his front foot a little bit. And he says, he got me, whatever. But this is just Donald Trump's, one of his negotiating tactics, one of his signs of strength, a position of dominance that he does. And it's shown here in the first greet of Emmanuel Macron. So another gesture of strength from President Trump. And they answered questions in one of the rooms of the White House, as he does and has with every foreign leader that he's met so far. And this is him just with taking a couple questions, showing his level of comfort and camaraderie with the French president, poking a little bit here and there, but mostly just fun entertainment. And the transparency of him meeting with foreign leaders, unlike when Joe Biden did it and they had to hide him in a closet because they were afraid that it would be too obvious that the guy had lost it.
From Wall Street Left, there was that email telling employees to give 5 things that they've done last week. Agency has then told people to ignore it.
You're talking about the last email that was sent where he wanted to know what you did this week. You know why he wanted that, by the way? I thought it was great. Because we have people that don't show up to work and nobody even knows if they work for the government. So by asking the question, tell us what you did this week, what he's doing is saying, are you actually working? And then if you don't answer, like you're sort of semi-fired or you're fired, because a lot of people are not answering because they don't even exist. They're trying to find, that's how badly various parts of our government were run by, and especially by this last group. So what they're doing is they're trying to find out who's working for the government. Are we paying other people that aren't working? And, where's all that? Where's the money gone? We have found hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud so far. And I just want to tell you a little story. So we were at the Eiffel Tower having dinner with your wonderful wife and with my wonderful wife. And we came out and he started speaking the French deal. And we didn't have an interpreter, and he was going on and on and on, and I was just nodding, yes, yes, yes. And he really sold me out, because I got back the next day and I read the papers. I said, that's not what we said. He's a smart customer, I will tell you that. That wasn't exactly what we agreed to.
So Donald Trump showing his ability to joke around and have some fun while poking a little bit of fun at Emmanuel Macron, and also showing the camaraderie between the United States and France and a little bit more of a friendly atmosphere than some of the other more adversarial people that he's met in the White House. So that's good to see. Hopefully this furthers the positive relationship with some of these European countries that don't really want to pull their weight in their own defense, which the United States has clearly stated that we are not going to carry for very much longer. And, of course, we have to talk about the swearing in of the director of the FBI, Kash Patel. We've now found out that his assistant will be Dan Bongino, the host of the Dan Bongino Show. He was a member of the FBI and the Secret Service during his career, and I think maybe one of the branches of the military as well. pretty tough character. I'm not a big Dan Bongino guy. I think he's a little bit over the top just with his delivery. I think that I probably would agree with a lot of what he says and his policies and his thoughts on government, but he is just a little bit intense, I guess, which is what you want in a position of the FBI, I guess. I mean, if I wanted somebody protecting me as a Secret Service agent, the intensity that Dan Bongino has is exactly what I would want. And so with that experience, him being the assistant director underneath Kash Patel is probably the perfect guy for that position. Here is the swearing in of Kash Patel.
I do solemnly swear.
I, Kash Patel, do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
That I take this obligation freely.
That I take this obligation freely.
Without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
Without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
And that I will well and faithfully.
And that I will well and faithfully.
Discharge the duties of the office on which I am about to enter.
Discharge the duties of the office of which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Wow. First and foremost, we were just with President Trump, and I just want to thank him. I know he's not here in the room right now, but what a ride we have been on, what a courageous warrior and leader he has been, and the faith and trust he has put in me to lead the FBI is the greatest honor that I'll ever have in my life. And to General Bondi, that sounds pretty freaking cool. Pam, you're my sister, you're my mentor, you're my friend. You're my boss, and the confidence you have placed in me, I will never violate that trust. The men and women of the FBI will be led under your leadership through one standard, the Constitution.
And last but not least, this is a speech that we just barely missed. Man, we barely missed having this great orator as our president. Of course, I say that in complete jest. Kamala Harris receives an award at the NAACP, some kind of banquet award ceremony. I don't really know what these things are, what they mean. They give out trophies, they give out things. Who cares? But here is her speech. Now, I always thought when she was running for president and when she was vice president, I thought, man, she's got a speechwriter and this speechwriter's got to be fired. But maybe, just maybe, she was writing her speeches, her own speeches all along. I mean, is she really using the same speechwriter? Can she still have one on staff? I don't know. Some of these people get these, this money that they've got to spend, and they have assistants and offices and libraries and all these kind of things they can spend for years and years. Some of the thing that Doge should probably look into. But she seems like she's talking in the same way. She's got the same style of speech. Maybe she's been writing her own speeches all along, which would actually make complete sense. Here's her on that.
This chapter will be written not simply by whoever occupies the Oval Office, nor by the wealthiest among us. The American story will be written by you, written by us, by we the people. I thank you. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
I love how these people pretend like they are not the elites, like they are one of the people. Like when they talk about the rich and the wealthy, that they're not part of that class. Give me a break, all right? And on her last point, where she said, God bless this country, I think God already has blessed this country. And he's blessed us with a president who is going to be able to fix things, I pray to God, and be able to restore this country to a society that believes in truth, in insanity, and in transparency of government, in limited government, and we can get things back to where they started back so long ago.